And to take us off this morning, I have Daryl Morrow on the phone with me this morning. Good morning, Daryl.
Good morning, Bill, and good morning, fellow gardeners.
And a big cheerio to Flo, who's sitting up there in Warringal Hospital after a bit of a operation on the hip.
Yeah, he's got a new hip in, so...
Well, she'll be able to get you, give you the rounds to the table now.
It won't be long.
Daryl, it's warming up, and this week we're going to have 3 days over 30 degrees, so is it a good time to do things in the garden?
You can, Bill. I've put in seeds and that and put a cover over them, like cardboard or something like that. Keeps the heat off the ground and keeps the moisture in the soil, but... just be careful of doing it like that when you plant new seeds, as you don't leave it on for more than 4 or 5 days. Otherwise, you'll lift it up and you'll find the seeds have shot and they're long and lanky, and they haven't got any chlorophyll built up in them. So it's not a real good idea to do it that way, but you can do it that way.
Yeah. And how is the rainfall in your backyard?
Well, I think this would be an absolute record. We've had 1 millimetre of rain in the Eltham, Nillumbik area. 1 millimetre. Now, mostly they average sort of 50 or over per month, but we're well short of that.
Well, so you've had to be doing a little bit of watering yourself.
Yes, have to do a lot of watering now. But you've got to just be careful, like watering. You don't overwater the sort of plants and that. Make sure you're applying the water in with not a lot of force in the hose, otherwise you upset the root system on the plant. Especially the young ones, you'll shift them out of their bed and they'll probably die, you get a poor crop.
Right, so now that autumn's here, well, I think it is because it feels like it's a continuation of summer, is it a time to plant things?
It is. This is an exciting time, Bill. We've been sitting around waiting for all our other summer crops and things like that to produce vegetables, but now's the time to plant for the late autumn and winter crops. So, yes, it is a good time to start planting.
So,
especially parsnips.
Parsnips?
I don't know whether people have much success in planting parsnips, but I've always found that they're difficult to grow, difficult to get to strike.
Right, but is that to do with bed preparation?
The problem is that you can only plant them 1/4 of an inch deep under soil, and you've got to keep them moist, and that's got to go on for 3 weeks.
Right.
If you forget to keep the moisture in the ground for them, and in a dark spot and so forth like that, you'll find that the germination of parsnip seeds is very low.
And it's a lot different. A lot different to carrots.
Carrots are a time to go in. They go about 1/4 inch deep in rows as well.
But they don't. You don't find them harder to strike than what you do with the parsnips.
Sorry, you don't what?
They strike a lot easier than the parsnips.
Oh, they do. They're pretty exciting to see. What I did this year on trying an experiment, I put the row of carrots in. I just put 3 or 4 seeds in a spot and then a couple of inches on. I did it again instead of a continuous row, and that'll save a lot of thinning out and waste. So I'm keen to see how that goes this year. Now, what you got to do, Bill, with the parsnips and carrots, or anything that's only put into the soil, just under the soil when you're putting seeds in, is to score the trench that you're going to put them in, water it, make sure it gets a really good water soaking downwards, leave it until it sort of looks dry a bit, then put your seeds in and then cover it and give it a light water. And leave them alone for 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
If you water properly at the beginning. and give them a chance to germinate. If you keep watering, you harden the soil up, and it gets very hard for them to break through.
Right.
Especially dwarf beans, you'll find when you're looking at your dwarf beans coming up, they'll bend and they come up bent, and you'll find they snap off.
Ah.
It's because your dirt's a bit too hard around them.
Oh, you've got your friends in rather than Flo this morning.
Yeah, that's right. You're out there keeping an eye on me.
It's a beautiful morning out there, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. Yeah, nice and chilly, and it's good. It's a good day.
Now, when you're looking at other veggies, is it time for your broccolis and your cabbages and all those? You call them brassicas?
I think it is time to give it a start. You know, like I've got cabbages and collies in there, just seedlings I got from a nursery, and not real happy with the seedlings. They don't look that good, but yes, it is a good time. You could put seeds in your own little punnets and get them started that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get going, you're looking at about 3 months before you harvest.
Yeah.
So that's getting you into the winter tucker.
Now, when you're looking at your parsnips and your carrots and your cauliflower, cabbage and broccoli, how deep do you till the soil?
Look, depending on the type of soil you got, I mean, a lot of the stuff around Eltham you can't get into the ground, but we're lucky ours is pretty good. But I generally dig and till over the soil to the depth of the spade. You know, we put your foot on the spade and dig down to that and just lightly turn it over. You don't want to bring up all the clay and bring it to the top. Just turn it so that it loosens them up.
Yeah.
And of course, at that stage you can get the weeds out pretty easy as well.
And that's probably about 250 to 300 mil deep.
Not sure. Probably about a ruler depth. Yeah.
About 10 inches in your language.
Oh yeah.
Right. And when you're preparing your soil, what a bit of compost or and you mentioned that the clay's there. So what do you do as a clay breaker?
You can put dolomite in, but I've never really had to worry about that. So clay is still fairly good in the soil, really, because clay absorbs water and takes a long time to dry out.
And it's got a lot of nutrients in it.
Sorry?
Got a lot of nutrients in the clay. Hello? All right, we'll have a little bit of music while we get Daryl back online.
Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me coldly, no matter where you are, no matter how far, just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. Don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Remember that day.
And there ain't no mountain that is too high to climb to get Daryl back online. So we dropped out. The magpies must have stood on the telephone cable, mate.
Yeah, upsetting the microwave.
Right. And we were talking about getting the soil ready for all your veggies, and you don't use a clay breaker or anything like that because it's you've tilled the soil well over.
If you got a lot of clay, you'd have to use some clay breaker for sure. But just putting compost in amongst all that and complete fertiliser and dolomite and also lime, which will sweeten up the soil a bit too.
Right.
So a bit of all of those things does help.
Now,
the crops going.
now, do you start everything from seed, or do you buy seedlings from the?
Right. I do start a lot from seeds, but I do prefer to get the plants that are started because you can see what you got, and it's quicker. You know, it saves you about another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If you can find decent plants, but the people at the nurseries don't always look after them. They look all right when you get them home and pull it apart to plant them out. You find that they're a bit older than they should have been, and they're suffering. You know, they're wilting and stuff like that. So it can be disappointing.
Do you keep your seeds from year on year from your produce?
Oh, no. Broad beans I do, and other beans like Blue Lake beans, any dwarf beans, that type of stuff. I do keep those seeds, but not carrot seed or parsnip, anything like that, smaller plants.
What about your pumpkins?
That's a different story, isn't it? Yes, if I've got good pumpkins, I'll keep some of the seeds out of that good pumpkin, dry them out, and store them for the next season. That's a good way to do that.
And what's your favourite? Ones that grow?
Windsor Black.
Windsor Black?
It grows really big, and it's thin-skinned, and it's really nice and sweet. You know, it's really good, beautiful colour. Butternut's another one that's very popular with everyone. And the later one, it seems to have gained a lot of ground, is called the Jap, J-A-P. You'll see that in the fruit shops there a lot. That's quite a good pumpkin as well. Seems to do pretty well in hard terrain and that. But,
And you keep the seeds each year?
I do from the pumpkins, yes.
Oh, right.
You get a multitude of seeds out of a pumpkin, much more than you'd ever use. You'd only pick a few out and save them.
Do your pumpkins climb all over the fence as well?
They do. Yeah, the best little climbers you'll get, which is great, you know, because when you look at the vines, you think they're sort of soft and things like that. You don't want to stand on them and that, but they'll go up trellis or up over the garage, and they'll grow their the pumpkins there, and they weigh pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But the vine seems to be able to handle it, and they can swing in the air and still grow through to maturity.
Right, and is there any particular bits and pieces that you can offer our listeners to how to grow a great pumpkin? Not a good one, a great one.
To grow a pumpkin?
Yeah, grow a great pumpkin, not just an ordinary one.
I don't know the secret of that. They do in Tasmania. They grow them big enough that you put them in a 6x4 trailer and take them to the market. Not in Victoria, I don't think. They're a special pumpkin for just for competition.
Yeah, right.
Down in Tassie, so they're pretty big sort of orangey red ones they are.
Right, now you've grown things from seeds, you've grown veggies from seedlings, and the harvesting over the next few months, about 3 months, and you'll have something in the kitchen.
Yeah, you'll have some in there. Maybe even a bit earlier, you might be able to pull a few carrots, thin them out, and parsnips. You might be able to thin them out and get some very young ones that's still very good to eat, quite sweet, nice to do. And then when I'm saying thinning them out, what you're doing is giving those that you leave behind a much better chance of growing to their full size. You know, like top weight carrots, for instance, they like to go down quite deep. Mm-hmm. And they get thick at the top, so they're very good.
Yep.
So the best way that's what you do in thinning them, that's what you're doing.
And how long does it take for broccoli to come up for harvest? Do you just take bits off, or do you have to harvest the whole plant?
Well, there's different ones. There's broccoli and there's also broccolini. Broccolini, you just pick bits and pieces off, wherever. But I find broccoli itself, you get a decent sized head out of it. You can cut the head out and leave the plant in the ground, and it will grow little ones on the side of the stalk and that after that as well. So it's quite well worthwhile leaving the plant in to see how it develops.
Now, when you're pulling your carrots and your not turnips, parsnips out, what if they're a little distorted? What causes that?
What's that again?
If you pull the carrot or the parsnips out and they're a distorted shape compared to the nice conical ones.
Well, generally it's because they've been fertilised. With carrots, you don't want to fertilise when you're planting. You should have done that from the last crop. Leave it and just plant in that ground.
Right.
Don't fertilise it. If you do the fertiliser, it gets it stuck up by not going down deep, and it will actually fork out into different shapes and so forth like that. No, don't fertilise at that point in time. But also it depends on the soil.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hardish soil, it'll grow into all sorts of shapes. There's some wonderful shapes come out by the end of the season.
Yep.
And good photographic shapes, taking photos. So one fellow had one that looked like a foot and had 5 toes on it. Look, it was really quite special, But yeah, it's good fun pulling them out and the sort of shapes you can get, but that's not what we're after. And that's not what the cook likes when you go take it into the
kitchen. Yeah. And what about your pumpkins? How long do you leave them on the vine?
Look, I see people asking this question all the time. Leave them there till the vine is completely dead. Then the fruit is set and it's going into its dormant stage, ready to break down at the end of winter and start to rot, and then the seeds will start to grow new pumpkin plants from there. So leave them like that. Then go to the pumpkin and leave, a long length of stem on it. Be careful when you're handling it. Don't pick them up by the stem, otherwise you create little cracks of the pumpkin and you'll get all sorts of things go wrong. They start to rot after a while.
Right.
But you stack them out where there's a bit of water.
Yep.
And you've got the stem upwards. There's a little pool of water around the stem, and that'll cause rot as well. So put them on their side in a cool, dry place.
Beautiful. All right, mate, and don't forget, there's something not to forget.
Don't forget what?
There's something you shouldn't forget.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Florence. I hope you're feeling better today.
Yeah, and also, and what about the kids?
Oh, kids, yes. Well, we haven't got any hanging around here, so I can't tell you. I had some come in the other day, and I was showing them around, showing them how pumpkins grow and all that sort of thing. And I find the young kids, they really are attentive to knowledge. So do that. Even if you just give them a pot plant or a little short bit of garden somewhere, help them tend it, but get them interested. That's their spot, let them feel that they've actually grown something. And this sort of information will stay with them for the rest of their life. And we need to teach people how to grow vegetables.
Exactly, because
the cost of veggies, now, if you can grow a bit in your backyard, please do it.
It's called sustainability.
Mm.
All right, Daryl, thank you very much. Time's run out at the moment, so thank you for coming on with your veggie tips, and we'll have you back on the, when is it? The 1st of April. Gee, the world's going crazy, isn't it?
We're going to have one on the 1st of April.
Yeah. Wow. You know what that day is, don't you? The first Sunday of April, that is. All right, then. Thank you very much, Daryl. And you can whip up and see Flo at Warringal Hospital and check out that she's running around the corridors okay.
I'll do that. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for the cheerio for it. Thank you.
Yeah, give her our regards.